Hi guys, I'm on an Elan E4 today and we've come for a test sail down to the Eastern Solent, sailing out of Haslar Marina in Gosport. We've got a force 5 from the east today, so these are brilliant conditions for testing a boat that likes to be pushed. The Elan E4 is a boat that will cruise and it will race, and it is brilliant for short-handed stuff as well. So it's a really good opportunity to put it through its paces and see what it can do when it's going hard. So we're just on a beat backup wind after a pretty exciting run with the spinnaker up, the A2 asymmetric, which was a little bit lively. And here on board today with me, I've got Tim and Dino who are giving us a hand. Thank you guys. And we're just sailing back upwind and gust on. So we're in a decent force 5 today with a few gusts coming through. So it's a pretty good test of the boat. And the first thing you notice is that the boat stays nice and light on the helm almost all the time. She's got 2 really deep twin rudders. Feels like she's got almost unlimited grip, which is pretty exciting. So I might just try that. We're at 30 degrees of heel now. Guys, we'll keep the sails pinned in, but I'm going to heel her right over. We'll just bear away a bit. So holding on. Right, so bearing away. There we go. I've still got grip. She's still not letting go. That's 45 degrees of heel, 38. 36. Not an inkling of letting go. I'll bring her back up onto the wind. There we go, I can stop her there. Right, let's get back up to a sensible point of sail. While we're upwind, I'll just talk about the helm layout and the cockpit. And this is exactly what it's designed for. I've got nice foot chocks under my feet. We've got twin wheel pedestals here with Jeffer steering. There's no play in the wheels at all. They're composite wheels, so it's really light. Might be nice to have a little bit more feedback through the rudders, but that's one of the things you maybe lose with twin rudders compared to a single rudder. And then for the crew, obviously they could be sitting inboard. There isn't anything to brace your foot against along the centre line of the cockpit, but it is just about narrow enough to brace off the other seat. What you do have when you're sitting on the windward side like this is really comfortable sloped coamings, and you've also got a little groove to rest your feet on when you're heeled there. So it's pretty secure for the crew sitting up here as well. And then sail controls, I've got chart plotter, autopilot there, another gust on. I've got traveller and main sheet, so I can reach those really easily. Space for 2 crew, and then we've got the primary winches for the genoa. So everything's where it needs to be. And then I've got an adjustable backstay here, which we can wind on with a winch handle as well. And then halyards to lead aft, under the spray head there. So we're just on our way back upwind now after a pretty exciting spinnaker run with the A2 asymmetric kite up. That's 130 square metres of sail area, which is quite a lot when you're 3 up in force 5, sort of pushing 20 knots of wind. Our top speed, when we got on a surf down a wave, we hit 15 knots, which is pretty exciting for a 34-footer. We did have a couple of broaches. It was wind over tide, and as the bow just buried into the wave in front, the boat stopped a bit, and we did just lose grip there. But we didn't really have to dump too much sail. We dumped the spinnaker, and then the boat came back upright, and we could carry on. No particular dramas apart from a little bit of flogging. The asymmetric is a masthead sail, and it sets off a telescopic bowsprit. For code 0, where you need a bit more tension there, you can set it with a bobstay on a shorter bowsprit, so you can get the luff tension really tight. And then it was quite a manageable sail once we were going, and it definitely made the boat shift, but we may be a little bit over canvas today. Still, it made for a fun sail and hopefully some good pictures as well. Right, so we've been out and we've sailed all the angles to see how she performs on the different points of sail. And upwind, I mean in this breeze actually, she's pretty consistently getting up to hull speed, which is around 5.8 to 6.1 knots. Right now we are sailing at about 45 degrees to the apparent wind speed, so on a fetch, and we're doing 5.76 knots, and that's in 20 degrees of apparent wind speed. That's pretty much what we've got on the other points of sail. Obviously when you're running on white sails only, you lose a bit of speed. We were down to sort of low 5 knots, but on a beam reach we were getting topping just over 7 knots. So for a 34 footer she's going pretty quickly. It's interesting, she's got a lot of form stability in the hull. She's got a really wide hull, and as I said about the twin rudders, so she's got loads of grip. She's a relatively light boat, so 5.4 tonnes, and 1.5 tons of that is in the keel, which gives you a ballast ratio of about 25–26%. So that's not the heaviest ratio, but she's got more than enough to stand up to a canvas, because on this boat we've got a 2.2 metre deep keel. There's an option for a 2.5 metre deep keel, and there's a slightly shallower keel option as well. But she's really stiff thanks to the nice wide transom, and as I said, the loads of grip which keeps it all under control. Right, while we're sailing back into harbour, I thought I'd just give you a little walk around at the forward end of the cockpit. I mentioned about the helm. We'll look at some of the details later. But in the pit you've got these 2 self-tailing winches. Neither of those are powered, but that's fine. And then you've got all the lines led aft. One of the nice things about an Elan, because it's set up for performance, is that all the lines have got enough purchase on. So you've got the towable jib cars, which means that even when the jib's loaded up, I could still move the cars forward. When I wanted to pull kicker on, it's got loads of purchase, so you can do that, and it actually makes sailing a boat a lot easier rather than making it more difficult being set up for performance. Right, the companionway, you've just got a couple of washboards. There's an additional flap that comes up here if you need if it's rough and you want to keep the water out from going down below. Right, going forwards, coamings are fine to step over. You've got this slope side here which makes it comfortable for sitting on, like these guys are doing. There's a gate here for stepping out onto the pontoon when you're alongside. The deck's got this dimple grip moulding, which works well. This isn't really a boat that you'd put teak decks or flexi teak on or anything like that. Not that you want to put teak on anymore anyway. Right, and then you've got these good long tracks for the jib cars, Genoa cars, and they've got a good range of adjustment, and then you're straight onto this stainless steel grip handle which takes you to the shrouds. Right, let's go forward. So from the shrouds, just duck under the lowers there. I've got the mast, which is a keel step mast, and all the lines are led aft. On this boat they've just got sort of smooth channels that they go through. They're not hidden below decks or anything. A nod towards the fact that this boat is more performance orientated rather than trying to keep everything hidden and hide the fact that it's got ropes on it. So I'm happy with that. Right, going forwards, it's a reasonably clear, it's a pretty good foredeck for moving around on. See, the grip's really good here. Right, you've got a large hatch, flush mount hatch there for the forward cabin. And here we've got a couple of lines that are led aft from the anchor locker. This one's the tack line for the spinnaker pole. We've got the spinnaker pole outhaul for the retractable bowsprit. Sorry, that one's the furling line for the jib. That's the tack line. And then there's another line for the retractable bowsprit as well. Up at the bow, we'll have a look in the anchor locker later. But here you can see we've got a below deck furling drum, and then a permanently mounted bow roller with anchor stowage, and the bowsprit just gets the tack of the spinnaker beyond that. Little touches like deck cleats that pop down mean that when you're racing you're not going to snag lines around the cleats, which is always nice. So it's a really simple, sensible layout that works really well. We're back in harbour now, so I'm just going to show you around the boat and some of the more sort of cruising features, living on board, comfort things. Obviously we had a look at the helm and the crewing positions while we were sailing. Stowage wise, there's a few options on this boat. That's an update from the previous model. So on this boat we've got these 2 stowage bins, and they're just as stowage bins at the moment, but there is an option to have a fridge and a grill in both of those, which if you're cruising in the Med or something like that, just aiming to cruise would be nice. You can take these out, a few screws would need taking out. If you're going for a pure race boat, then you probably wouldn't take the boxes, and you could also do away with the bathing platform as well, which folds down, do away with that completely. There is an option for a half-height bathing platform there to save a bit of weight if you're doing a little bit of both. I think a bathing platform is pretty nice if you are going to do any cruising. Down here we've got engine controls for the 30 horsepower Volvo Penta, and we were doing about 5.5 knots at 2,200 revs, something like that. And then other stowage, yeah, we've got a gas locker down here. There's only space for one bottle in there. It's a little bit annoying, so you'd either need to put that in another locker that drains overboard, or it would have to go in the anchor locker if you want a spare bottle. And then there's also a fitting here. There's your deck shower there, which is obviously essential if you're swimming from the boat. Right, moving forwards then, this boat's got the recessed traveller, which is really nice to have. I think that's optional, but pretty much all the UK boats are having that. We've got a large cockpit locker to starboard here, and that stops at sort of at the aft end of the heads, but that goes a long way back, and it's hull depth, so you get loads of stowage in there. If you go for the 3-cabin version, this boat's the 2-cabin version, if you go for the 3-cabin version, that wouldn't be a deck locker, you'd lose that, and that would become the starboard aft cabin, and then your deck stowage would just be in these aft bins here. You might have seen in there we've also got a table which fits into the sockets in this cockpit sole here. You can see there's a square line around here. There is an option to have like the whole cockpit sole pop up for a raising table, but yeah, depending on how much you want to pay, I guess. That's pretty much it for the cockpit. We've already seen up on deck, so it's probably time to go and have a look down below. Well, that's a really nice companionway to walk down. It's got quite gradual steps, which means it's really easy to come in, and reasonably long opening hatch there. I was holding on there, but you've got nice big handholds there as well. Right, let's have a look. It's a fairly conventional layout, but it's a conventional layout for a reason, because it really works and it's really designed around sailing. You've got an L-shaped galley to port, a proper forward-facing chart table, hooray, to starboard. We've got a heads starboard aft here. We've got a double aft cabin to port there, saloon midships, and then we've got a double berth forwards. So we'll have a proper look around. Just to say, the E4 is an update of previous models of initially the Elan 350 and then the Elan 360. It's pretty much exactly the same boat with the same hull, the same deck mouldings, but the interior has really been updated. And the thing that they've tried to do is to increase the quality and the feel and the solidity of the fit out, as well as some of the detailing. So you can see we've got it's an oak finish, but we've got loads of solid oak. All of the edging strips, all of the corners are solid timber, so that any of the veneer is really properly protected. You've got solid oak grab rails on either side, so you can move around easily, and that really increases the feel of quality in the boat. And then also all of the hull is lined with the oak veneer, both the bulkheads and the hull sides, which gives it a really homely feel. And it makes what's quite a racy boat also feel like a comfortable cruising boat. Okay, let's start with the galley then. So we have got a open top fridge. It's fairly nice and deep there. We've got a double sink, 1.5 sink there. It's got a little splashback, which is always nice to have, protect your cushions from any water. We've got a hob that hides under this top here, which just slides down. So little neat things like that are really nice. 2-burner hob with a crash bar. It's really sensible. You can brace yourself against the bulkhead here, or you could have a little strap. And then you've got loads of really useful stowage. There's a big bin here that all of your cooking utensils and all that kind of stuff can go in. Top opening locker, sorry, that's a hinged locker, but these ones are top opening lockers. So you've got space for plates and cups and mugs, and that one opens as well. So that's a really good amount of stowage for not a huge boat. And then there's also stowage under the sink, drawers here, and pan stowage there. So you've got enough for all of your proper cruising kit. To starboard, I'm a real fan of having a proper chart table. I like doing stuff on paper charts as a backup, maybe a little bit old-fashioned now. But so many people work remotely as well. It's nice to have somewhere where you can sit and do your emails. Just a little thing that I like. The chart table has got a gas strut, and it is big enough to keep your folio charts in and your almanacs if you wanted to do that. There's more locker space outboard here, but it's really worth pointing out this, which is the Cymarine switch panel. And this actually won a design award because it's all touch button, but if you open it up, it's also got physical buttons here. So if any of those switches fail, you can still turn things on and off manually, and you've got all your wires and your fuses easily accessible. It also does your battery isolation, so you can isolate your batteries via a solenoid, and this also connects to a remote app on your phone, which means that you can completely turn your boat off, turn all of the batteries off, and you can still turn the batteries on before you come down to the boat, either to get them charging off shore power, or to get the fridge running, or to start some of the systems, the heating, whatever it is that you want. So you don't have to leave your batteries on and potentially draining until you're ready to turn them on, and then you can turn them on remotely. So that's a really nice little solution. It also looks very smart. And then again, they've just made really good use of any bits of space. And when you're cruising, it's just helpful to have somewhere to put all of your things. See if I can open that one. There we go. There, and then you've got a bin, sliding out bin there. Right, let's have a quick look in the heads. It's a good sized compartment. You wouldn't get this compartment if you opted for the 3 cabin version. That would go where the chart table is, and you would lose the chart table. There'd just be a little fold down chart table at the forward end, sort of at the aft end of the saloon, forward end of the heads. As it is, you've got a really nice big heads in there with a shower, and you can see at the back you've also got a proper wet locker that you can put all of your stuff in when it's dripping wet and get it out of the way. And a nice little touch is that the diesel heater outlet blows hot air into there, so you can dry your kit even when it's hanging up there and it doesn't go all mouldy. On port side then, we've got a double cabin, and we've still got about 190 of standing headroom in here, maybe 195, same as there is in the saloon. And here we've got a double berth that's 170 wide and 210 long, so it's a proper good big berth. We've got our reading material in here, Yachting Monthly, very good. And at the aft end you've got access to the steering quadrants steering gear, and it's worth saying on this boat that the 2 rudders run completely separate independent steering gears, and then they're linked together with a tie rod rather than being one cable that joins it all together. So if one fails, the other one will still work and you can just disconnect the tie rod. Engine access, locker space and shelving mean that you've got enough space to put all your kit as well. Right, let's go forward into the saloon. They've made good use of the space here, and they've put C-shaped seating to port, which I think is really nice because you can sit in a corner. Sorry, you'll have to excuse all of the plastic wrappers. This boat is literally a week old and still hasn't been taken fully out of the packet, so we'd quite like to get on it while it's this brand new. The table here folds up, and a little support folds up to support it, so you can sit on both sides of the saloon. There are lockers outboard here, so you might use some of your sort of books or whatever. But you've also got shelves along the aft end here. It would be nice to have fiddles along the edge of that shelf, so that if you pull the cushions off, stuff doesn't slide down behind the cushions. But you have got more stowage behind the cushions in there. Under the seat where I'm sitting, you've got water tanks, and there's one on either side to keep the boat balanced. And there's 185 litres on this boat. There isn't an option to have more, but for sort of coastal cruising that's more than enough. And then the fuel tank, 75 litres, is under the berth in the port aft cabin. Right, let's go forwards and have a look at the forward cabin. So I've got a little bit less headroom here. I've got about 180, 175, but that's not too bad. Space to stand and change. And we've got lockers on either side, hanging lockers, shelved lockers. And then there's a nice shelf goes all the way around, as well as access to some of the electrics for the anchor windlass in the locker there forwards. And we've got more stowage under the berth under here as well. This boat doesn't come with an option for bow thrusters or anything like that. It's too much of a performance boat. But you've got a main light up here and reading lights either side and some power sockets so you can charge your phones while you're in here. So it's a perfectly comfortable and sensible cabin with more than enough space for all of your things. Right, so just talk about construction briefly. This boat is all made with vacuum infusion, which means that they've got really good control of the weight and the strength over a foam core. And it's made with vinyl ester resin, which is good, high quality stuff, and keeps the weight sensible. The boat comes in at 5.4 tons in light displacement. Structurally here, you've got the keel, which is bolted onto these big backing plates. This keel is a T-shaped keel, 2.15 meters deep, and it's a cast iron keel. You can opt for the 2.3 meter keel. I think it's 2.3, 2.35, and that is a composite keel with a lead bomb on the bottom, so it gives you a bit more performance. There is a shoal draft version that's 1.90 meter. That's still reasonably deep. A few rough edges around there, but I mean it's all hidden under the sole boards, so you don't see that normally. But it would be nice if they tidied that up a little bit. But on the whole, I'm really impressed with the quality of the finish, and she's clearly a light and fast boat. Right, let's have a look at the engine. This lifts up, steps lift up, 2 gas struts. And in here we've got the Volvo Penta sail drive, and it's a 30 horsepower. So you've got alternator belt, alternator, header tank, water strainer there, that's easily accessible. You need to use the side panels or the aft panel to access some of the other filters, but there's good access on all 4 sides of the engine. So we've been pushing the boat reasonably hard today, and without too much effort, a little bit of effort, we got up into double figure speeds quite easily. And if you're going to be racing, then that's what you're going to want, and she'll do really well round the cans or double-handed racing, even if her IRC rating isn't necessarily the best because of the T-keel and things like that. If you're going to go cruising, then you're maybe not going to seek those top speeds, but she's got the control and the systems you need to tame the power and turn her into a much more relaxing cruising boat. Well, there we have it. You've seen us take this boat for a sail. We've been pushing it reasonably hard today. We've had a lot of fun. You could definitely back off a little bit and sail slightly more conservatively, but we really wanted to see what she could do today. In terms of price, I'm sure you're all wanting to know, itching to know. The boat comes in at £280,000, including VAT, exactly as it's spec'd out. So that includes all of the electronics options, all of the sail handling. You can add more things onto the checklist if you want to, but this boat comes in at 280. The base price for the boat, including VAT, is just over £220,000. Now, if you are going to be shopping for a boat like this or wondering what it's competing against, you're going to be looking at other performance cruisers. So if you're thinking about two-handed racing, you might be looking at Jeanneau Sunfasts or the First 36, something like that. If you're looking for something more of a performance cruiser, you might be thinking about a Dela 34 or an Arcona 345, something like that. In terms of this specific boat, she's a really good quality production boat, and I think they've done it really nicely, and I think the changes that they've made over the 360 have made a material difference to how she feels on board, and I'd be really happy going cruising on this boat. I like the 2-cabin layout with the forward cabin and the single aft cabin. I think it's a really good heads compartment, and I really like this chart table that I'm sitting at now, and I wouldn't want to sacrifice that by squeezing in another cabin, though you could do that and then you could easily sleep 6 people on board. The saloon would feel a little bit less spacious for it. In terms of what we've been doing on the boat, we've been pushing and seeing a little bit what the potential was, and we've fairly easily hit double-figure speeds, but without any trouble, without pushing it, you'll be getting the boat up to hull speed if you're just cruising anyway. She's not going to get the best rating on IRC if you're going to look for it, because she's got a T keel and things like that, but she will get you around the course quickly, and if that's what matters to you, then you will definitely have fun racing her. At the same time, she's got enough power and control to keep all of that power at heel, so she's not going to overface you if you're just cruising her, and I think she will do very well at both things.